And it doesn't mean forever, right? Just like I think if you are focused on your future and creating that new path for yourself, sometimes the past does feel too heavy to even deal with at the moment. And so, but it's always going to be there, whether she deals with it or not, or comes back. It's just like, and that's again out of the control of the person who is being estranged. There's really, I think, if you keep the door open, that's all we can really do. Just and see if those people come back into our lives. I know I've wanted to. Family is so important to me. And I was adopted. And so one of the things we mentioned earlier, it's like I have been asked not to contact, like our biological mother has reached out to us several times. And I have had siblings who said, like, I don't think you should do it. Like, don't contact her. And then myself, I felt like she doesn't deserve to know. So when one of my siblings did meet our biological mom, I'm like, don't tell her, don't talk about me.
Oh, that's big. Thanks for sharing
yeah.
that. Mm.
So, do you feel like kind of the right or wrong for people to know how you're doing in life? And if they had nothing to do with it, then I don't think they have the right to know. They didn't contribute to your life somehow.
Do you know the reason she had to give you up for adoption?
Oh, yeah, drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's important to hear for parents is just understanding. Also, there's a new statistic that statistically estrangement does not last a lifetime. Kids do come back. And I think that's important to realize and understand and hear everything that we're discussing, because that truly is the work of the parent, is to keep that mom heart love always open, because we don't know how they're going to come back in our life. And regardless of what that looks like, if you are not completely healing yourself and an open door and open heart, open mind, it will not happen. Because now your child who wants to come back, let's just assume everybody wants to come back, but now let's say they make that attempt. And I'm thinking of several friends of mine who had done this, but their mothers were so angry and bitter that so much time has passed that they just couldn't do it. They couldn't open the door. And we even read a lot in the communities of, like, maybe not they're not even angry anymore, but they're saying too much time's passed and I've moved on with my life and I don't think about you anymore. I don't want to think about you anymore. So sorry, too little, too late. We're reading so many different things of different people's experiences.
Yeah, I advise against that. So
I do too.
I think time is an illusion, right? So I don't think anything could get in between Jillian and I's relationship. Even like we've been mad at each other, we fought before. Same with my sisters. All of us have had issues where we don't agree and we have very different opinions on things. But even when we let the heat go up, I just like I said with my mom, I knew the door was always open. So to me, I had the time to heal through what I needed to heal from so I could go back. And I think that's important for us to keep open with almost any relationship, unless somebody has really harmed you and stuff. And so that's why I chose to go, like, to not let my biological mom back in my life. It's because, like, to me, she was somebody who gave me birth, and I got adopted into a family that showed me love and concern and care. And that's who I consider my mom. And though it hasn't been an easy journey in our relationship, but she's the one who taught me how to walk, because I didn't walk until I was 3. I came with a lot of, and she took the time to really, like, in those moments where I really needed her to really foster my growth in my language. And I didn't talk or walk until I was 3 years old. So yeah. And she helped through all of that because the doctor said I was just a failure to thrive, that I would lay there and die. And she was like, there's no way that's going to happen. So it's just
What a
crazy.
mom.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So then I remember those incredible things about her, right? As much as she frustrates me. And then I have found things I can control, right? A lot of this talk started with control. I found the things I can control that would help us bond. So I can control that one she can't see. So if there's charges happening, I'm like, hey, what was this charge? And helping her take care of her finances. So we made some phone calls together to be like, hey, and those are the things I can control because they were frustrating me that she was spending all this money that she didn't really have. So I'm like, okay, mom, let's figure out this stuff. Let's figure out. So let's get on a call. And I was using three-way calls and we were bonding over talking about these things and what she really needed and what she didn't. And so she's coming around to like at least communicating those things and trusting us. I think there's a big trusting and when she's kind of lost her independence now, right, of being able to take care of herself. And so now it's like, I think she's moving into this phase where she has to give a little more trust in those kind of things where she's not the same woman she used to be. And I think that's a really hard phase she's in right now and why she's going through those guilt trips and stuff because she is feeling lonely, even though she's not alone. So I think that's really hard for her. She's transitioning and needing the help and not being the independent woman. She's been a single mother her whole life, taking care of 3 kids, 5 kids at one point before the other ones grew up and moved out. So I think, and having a horse ranch. So I think now that she's all alone and it's just like her, and she can't even read anymore. So her vision is going. And so I think she's just like having that trouble acknowledging it, accepting help and trusting, right? Trusting the fact that have her best interest in heart.
And I think that's what's so hard for a lot of parents who are listening because they feel like they have to go through all of that alone. And, you know, you've carried yourself through your whole life and all of the difficulties that go with life and all of the mistakes that we all make because we're human. And now we get to the end of it all and nobody's there. Nobody is there to help. Nobody is there for us to lean on or trust, you know. Cheryl, I don't know if you remember what Mimi called it. She just got on actually, but she said there's parents are now going through an orphaned parent or something. Do you remember the term of that?
No.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to ask Mimi at the end when we have everybody come on because she just logged on. But there's a new term for parents like the orphaned parent or something that will just die alone. Something to that effect. I don't remember, but
I've heard that before. I'll look it up here.
We've all encountered, you know, a friend or somebody in our life who's high maintenance. And so what Aaliyah said of like, you know, she loves the friends in her life that they can just pick up where they left off with, even if so much time has gone by that they haven't even talked. And now we often step on other people's toes without realizing it. So we've stepped on a friend's toes and now they've been stewing for months or years about how we stepped on their toes. And now they send us some email or something, or, you know, a voice message that says, we really need to talk about what happened to us. And the other friend is thinking, what happened? You know, why are you so much work? Why is there a big come to Jesus conversation? Why can't we just pick up where we left off and just, you know, let the past be the past? And I think that's, again, when it's our kids, we label it something different. But when it's us and we're going through all of these relationships and they're happening that way, it just feels differently when you're on one side of the playing field versus the other. When you're in control, you have more power in the relationship. When you feel more of like the victim, then you're the one that feels something was done to you. It feels like there's been such an injustice.
I know myself, I just have so much anxiety, like in, you know, certain aspects of my life that I work on daily, and enough going on with my own family that I have to manage, you know, my second marriage, stepdaughter, other family members, that with friendships, I just can't go through that with friendships as well, even though some of my friends, long 30 years, 40 years are like sisters. But I really find myself, culling culling them out over time. But I think that's an age thing that we do with age as well. Tend to go with the easy and the no stress, and when we don't have to have these huge conversations. That's kind of my take.
So is it possible that our kids feel that way?
Well, I would think so, especially, like in my case of the no contact, there won't even be people that are allowed to say, your mom still loves you, or, her arms are open, whenever you're ready. There isn't even that. So in my mind, it's always, how does she know? How will she know that I still love her? She might think that I'm angry. There's certain, vindictive things still directed at me 2.5 years later that, she might think, my mom must be really mad about that still, or, so that's something that I think about. I mean, I do, and then when I have doubts, I go back even from 2.5 years ago. And, every text was, I love you, I love you, I love you. Cards and the pictures and the videos, just hoping that she can hold on to all of those and realize that, yes, the door will always be open.
There's just the boundary that needs to be set in order for us to heal. And like Lisa said, the statistic is that not everybody's going to be estranged forever. Like, it's most likely not. And in my case right now, like, I know if I called my grandma right now on this call, I know exactly what she'd say. She'd say, hey, there's my pretty girl. Like, how are you? But there's also the anxiety that I feel where it's like, I don't want to do this right now. Like, this feels like a lot. It feels, and I know that she loves me, and like, even if I was angry right now, I would know that she loves me and that the door would be open. And there was never that doubt. Like, there was never a doubt that my mom loved. I mean, there was some doubt there, but like in the end, after her passing, like, I never doubted that she still loved me. And I see that her efforts were like misplaced, if you will, but I knew that in her own way, she loved me the best she could with what she had. And, you know, unfortunately, that was in the form of needing someone else to fulfill her without seeing that, like, that I also needed her, and in a way, like, I know, like I said, my situation is completely different, but with my grandma, I know I can pick up the phone and she'll just be happy to hear from me. But I also don't have the strength or energy to like explain what's been going on, because eventually we'll get into that. But right now it's just not that time for me. And it's not because I hate her, and it's not because like she did anything wrong. It's just I right now need to keep my boundary to myself. And like, even like I said, even if I was angry, I'd still know that her love for me was there. So don't, like, in your anxiety, don't let your anxiety be like, well, how does she know? How does she know? She'll never know unless I have to tell her. No, we do know. It's always there. It just takes a second of like, it's like a breather of just, I just need to breathe real quick.
That makes sense. So it's kind of in your healing process, just like in our healing process. We're not receptive to, in a healthy way anyway, to reconcile. And you have to get to the point where you're healthy enough to reconcile. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I just,
They know because so many
Yeah.
years of raising them and living with them, they know. Yeah, you're right.